Hi YouTube, I'm Tim, and welcome to part 1 of my DVD and Blu-ray update for October 2020, and yesterday I received a couple Blu-rays I ordered from Amazon Prime, and then today I got a few more. So first, show off the two that I got yesterday, and as you can see in the background there, I've got more DVDs and Blu-rays, because after I do the update, I'm going to give more recommendations for horror movie viewing for the month of October for Halloween season 2020. But first, from Amazon Prime, I got the Cohen Film Collection Blu-ray of The Old Dark House starring Boris Karloff. It's 1932. It says it's a horror comedy, but it's maybe more of a dramedy and more of a mystery. This disc has a new interview with Sarah Karloff, Curtis Harrington saves the old dark house, and then feature-length audio commentary track by Gloria Stewart. I believe, yeah, she's one of the stars of this. And feature-length audio commentary track by James Whale biographer James Curtis, and the 2017 re-release trailers included, James Whale, who directed the 1931 Frankenstein movie starring Boris Karloff, also directed this. And since it's from 1932, it's not rated. And 72 minutes, black and white, in English, with English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. So from the director of Frankenstein, a group of stranded travelers stumble upon a strange old house and find themselves at the mercy of the highly eccentric and potentially dangerous family. This well-performed, atmospheric thriller features the first starring horror role for Boris Karloff. Well, that's not exactly true, since he did Frankenstein right before this. Boris Karloff as the hulking, disfigured butler, based on the novel The Benighted from 1927 by J.B. Priestley. The Cohen Film Collection is proud to present the stunning new 4K restoration. So it's from 2017, and I think actress Gloria Stewart died a few years ago. So the Old Dark House starring Boris Karloff from Cohen Film Collection on Blu-ray. And then yesterday, also from Amazon Prime, I got the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray of Pandemonium. This is a 1982 horror movie spoof. It's funny, it lists this as being rated PG, but I thought this movie was R. Yeah, this had a VHS release, and it's been shown on cable TV, but it never had a DVD release. Now Vinegar Syndrome got a little bit of a deal with MGM, so this was one of the titles they got. It's about time, being missing in action from DVD, and now we're in the era of high definition, so now we need Blu-ray. But now there's also Ultra HD 4K discs as well, but Blu-ray seems to be the main format, so. In 1963, a group of college cheerleading students were brutally slain by a mysterious killer, resulting in the closure of the school they attended. Now, former student and professional cheerleader Bambi has decided to reopen the institution. As new students arrive, it's not long before the murderer makes his presence known and the bloody hijinks resume. Even worse, the only hope of unmasking the culprit falls upon an overworked Canadian Mountie, a wildly bizarre horror film parody from Alfred Soul. Alice, Sweet Alice, Pandemonium features an astonishing cast including Carol Kane, When a Stranger Calls, Judge Reinhold, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Phil Hartman, TV Saturday Night Live, Tom Smothers from TV's The Smothers Brothers, and Paul Rubens, TV's Pee-wee's Playhouse, and Tab Hunter, Lust in the Dust, jam-packed with bizarre humor and even stranger death sequences. Vinegar Syndrome brings this never-on-disc early 1980s cult favorite to Blu-ray in a brand new 2K restoration. And additional information, newly scanned and restored in 2K in its 35mm interpositive, Dying of Laughter, an interview with director Alfred Soul, and then promotional still gallery and reversible cover artwork, so this reverses. 1982, 81 minutes color, and it's in a 1.85 widescreen, and as usual, Vinegar Syndrome releases English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, and since it's when they licensed from MGM, MGM told them they had to make it region A locked. Otherwise, most of their releases are multi-regions or region-free. So Pandemonium from MGM and Vinegar Syndrome. And then I have got a few packages today from Amazon Prime. I've got one DVD set coming from Amazon Prime tomorrow. And then I have a couple Blu-rays coming from Romanflix. So ordered the Blu-ray edition of the Criterion Collection Special Edition Blu-ray of The War of the Worlds. I have a DVD of this somewhere in my room, but figured it was time to get a Blu-ray now that we have a Blu-ray release out. Or now that there's a Blu-ray release out. This is one they got from Paramount Pictures. A mysterious meteorite-like object has landed in a small California town. While clocks have stopped, a fleet of glowing green UFOs hovers menacingly over the entire globe. Look at that artwork. The Martian invasion of Earth has begun, and it seems that nothing, neither military might nor the scientific know-how of nuclear physicist Dr. Clayton Forrester. So that's where they got that name on Mystery Science Theater 3000 from. So I'm pretty sure that's the name of one of the mad scientists on that show. Dr. Clayton Forrester, played by Gene Beery, can stop it. Yeah, neither military might or the scientific know-how of nuclear physicist Dr. Clayton Forrester, played by Gene Beery, can stop it. In the expert hands of genre specialists George Powell and Byron Haskin, H.G. Wells' End of Civilization classic receives a chilling Cold War-era update, complete with hallucinatory hallucinatory Technicolor and Visionary Oscar-winning special and with hallucinatory Technicolor and Visionary Oscar-winning special effects and emblazoned with iconographic images of 1950s science fiction. The War of the Worlds is both an influential triumph of visual imagination and a still quieting document of the wonder and terror of the atomic age. And this is from 1953, color monaural audio, and it's in a 1.37 by a 1 aspect ratio. Region A locked, licensed from Paramount Pictures, and it's Blu-ray and English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, and stars Gene Barry, Anne Robinson, and Les Tremayne. And it's based on the novel by H.G. Wells. And the Blu-ray Special Edition features a new 4K digital restoration with uncompressed monaural soundtrack, new alternate 5.1 surround soundtrack created by sound designer Ben Burt and presented in DTS HD Master Audio, audio commentary from 2005 featuring filmmaker Joe Dante, film historian Bob Burns, and author Bill Warren, and then the movie Archaeologist, a new program on the film's visual and sound effects featuring Burt and visual effects supervisor Craig Barron. Then from the archive, a new program about the film's restoration featuring Barron, Burt, and Paramount Pictures archivist Andrea Callis, and then audio interview with producer George Powell from 1970, and then The Sky is Falling, a 2005 documentary about the making of the film, and the Mercury Theater on the Air radio play of The War of the Worlds from 1938, adapted by Howard Koch and directed and narrated by Orson Welles. So that's, yeah, that was on the DVD as well. I've heard that numerous times, that radio drama. And then a radio program from 1940 featuring a discussion between Wells and H.G. Wells, author of the 1897 novel War of the Worlds. And then the trailer and English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, plus an essay on film critic J. Hoberman. So, the Criterion Collection Blu-ray Special Edition of the George Powell 1953 film The War of the Worlds. Okay, 2 more packages to open. And then after that, I want to give some more horror movie recommendations for Halloween. There's a couple more movies that I've had on DVD, but I never owned a Blu-ray copy of. One's another Bela Lugosi. I'm gonna pick up all the stuff coming out of the envelope these came out of. Yeah, Bela Lugosi public domain horror movie restored for Blu-ray by Kino, but first, another Blu-ray upgrade for me that I had on DVD. 50s creature feature, The Beast, from 20,000 Fathoms. Fathoms. Exciting special effects by Ray Harryhausen, a lively climax in an amusement park. And that's a quote by Danny Peary, Guide for the Film Fanatic. Near the Arctic Circle, an atomic bomb is detonated. This fearsome experiment disturbs the sleep of a giant this fearsome experiment disturbs the sleep of a giant Radiosaurus encased in ice for over 100 million years and sends it southward on a destructive, deadly rampage. The beast from 20,000 Fathoms was the first screen adaptation of a work by fantasy fiction titan Ray Bradbury. It also marked the first time Ray Harryhausen had total control over special effects. He came up with a fantastic creature constructed at a full scale, all 50 tons of it, that swims down from the north to run amok through New York City, being conquered in a spectacular Coney Island roller coaster finale. And monstrous extras, 2 documentaries, the Radiosaurus and the roller coaster Making the Beast, and Harryhausen and Bradbury, an unfathomable friendship, armatures, and then the theatrical trailers included it. And it's in 1080p high definition widescreen 1.37 by 1 DTS HD master audio, English 1.0 Dolby Digital, and then French and Spanish 1.0, both Castilian and Latin, and subtitles in English, French, and Spanish. English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, then French and Spanish subtitles, and special features may not be in high definition, and audio and subtitles may vary. Black and white 80 minutes, and not rated. Bonus material trailer not rated. This is from Warner Brothers from 1953. The sea's master beast of the ages, raging up from the bottom of time. It's alive. You'll see it tear a city apart. They couldn't believe their eyes. They couldn't escape the terror, and neither will you. So the beast from 20,000 Fathoms. From Warner Brothers BluRay. From Kino, Bela Lugosi, public domain BluRay. Kino Classics, Bela Lugosi and White Zombie HD restoration from archival 35mm film elements. After becoming an overnight success with his starring role in Todd Browning's Dracula, Bela Lugosi struggled to find roles worthy of his acting talent without parroting his depiction of Bram Stoker's notorious Count. Independently produced by Edward Halperin, White Zombie was one of the rare films that provided Lugosi with just such an opportunity. In spite of its budgetary limitations, White Zombie manages to be a remarkably atmospheric treatment of the Haitian zombie myth, which would evolve into one of the most popular and enduring subgenres of the horror film. This Kino Classics edition, produced by Holland Releasing, has been mastered in HD from a 35mm fine grain print and is presented in both a digitally restored and an unenhanced version with the natural film grain intact. She was not alive nor dead, just a white zombie performing his every desire. So special features mastered in HD from a 35mm fine grain master. Dual edition includes both a digitally restored version as well as the raw, unenhanced film transfer. Then audio commentary by film historian Frank Thompson, and then intimate interviews from 1932, a 6-minute interview with Bela Lugosi mastered in HD from 35mm elements, and then 1951 theatrical reissue trailer, and then stills gallery, and its US film from 1932, black and white, 67 minutes, 1.33 by 1 aspect ratio, 2.0 mono audio, and then 920 by 1080p HD resolution, and then directed by Victor Halperin, and screenplay by Garnet Weston, and based on the novel by William C. Brooke, photographed by Arthur Martinelli, makeup by Carl Axel and Jack P. Pierce, with Bela Lugosi, Madge Bellamy, Joseph Cawthorn, Robert Fraser, and John Harron, licensed by Holland Releasing. Special contents of this edition copyrighted in 2013 by Kino Lorber Inc. So the Kino Lorber edition of White Zombie starring Bela Lugosi on Blu-ray. One more Blu-ray, and then a little over 23 minutes I'll recap, and then I'll go into more horror movie recommendations for Halloween. Just one more Blu-ray. Another one starring Bela Lugosi, another public domain horror movie that Kino Lorber restored, Invisible Ghost. Newly mastered in HD, the great Joseph H. Lewis, Gun Crazy, My Name is Julia Ross, directed this classic monogram horror film about a man who unknowingly carries out a series of grisly murders while under the power of his insane and domineering wife, Betty Compson. The docks in New York. Horror legend Bela Lugosi, Dracula, and Shandu the Magician stars in the stark Jekyll and Hyde tale as a kindly doctor whose thought-to-be dead wife hypnotizes him, turning him into an unwitting homicidal killer. This was the first and the best of 9 monogram pictures made by producer Sam Katzman, Earth versus the Flying Saucers, and it came from beneath the Sea, co-starring Polly Ann Young, The Man from Utah, and Clarence Muse, The Black Stallion. Special features audio commentary by film historians Tom Weaver, Gary Rhodes, and Dr. Robert J. Kiss, and then get trailers, and it's from 1941, black and white, 64 minutes, 1.33 by 1, in 1920 by 1080p HD, not rated, subtitles in English, region A locked, and even though it's public domain, they got it from Paramount, who I guess they own Monogram Pictures library now. So Invisible Ghost, starring Bela Lugosi from Paramount and Kino Lorber. So now, a little over 25 minutes, I'll do a recap of all my new Blu-rays. And then I'll give more recommendations for some Halloween horror movie viewing. So, first up, yesterday from Amazon Prime, I got the Cohen Film Collection Blu-ray, The Old Dark House, starring Boris Karloff. Then, also from Amazon Prime, The Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray of the 1982 slasher horror spoof Pandemonium, 1982 film. And then today, from Amazon Prime, I got the Criterion Collection of the 1953 Paramount George Powell movie, The War of the Worlds. And then from Amazon Prime, I got the Warner Brothers Blu-ray, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And then I got the Kino Lorber Classics Blu-ray of White Zombie starring Bela Lugosi. And I got the Kino Lorber Blu-ray of Invisible Ghost starring Bela Lugosi. So that's it for part 1 of my Blu-ray update for October 2020. So it's over 27 minutes, so if you wanted to watch the update's over with. But if you want to keep watching, I'm giving more horror movie recommendations now. So in my September update, there were a few movies I recommended that I couldn't find the Blu-rays for, but now I found them. 1931 Dracula, starring Bela Lugosi on Blu-ray, and the 1931 Frankenstein movie, starring Boris Karloff and Colin Clive, and then the sequel to Frankenstein on Blu-ray, Bride of Frankenstein, starring Boris Karloff and Colin Clive, 1935 one. So those are 3 to watch for Halloween horror movie viewing. Then another one I recommend to watch for Halloween, The Monster That Challenged the World from 1957. Yeah, giant sea slugs are going about killing people. This movie. And another 50s creature feature. Roger Corman one, I believe, done for American International Pictures. The Beast with a Million Eyes. Unspeakable horror, destroying and terrifying. And another Roger Corman one that was in color from the mid-60s, Queen of Blood, about an outer space woman that's something like a queen bee, but she's a vampire. So Queen of Blood, another Roger Corman one. Then 70s horror movie, really silly one, done by great Eden Clark, Satan's Cheerleaders. Then a more serious 70s drive-in horror movie, Audrey Rose, about a little girl that dies in an accident and then she gets reincarnated as another little girl. And then not Bela Lugosi, a Dario Argento horror movie from the late 80s opera. And then a early 90s, or late 80s, early 90s sci-fi horror movie done by Fred Olen Ray, Deep Space. And it's another creature feature movie. And then two that I got a while back from Severin, 1976 slasher, Drive-In Massacre. You'll pay to get in and pray to get out. And then something from Canada that Severin put out. That's something like a bit of a possession movie, like The Exorcist, Kathy's Curse. It's also from the 70s. And then a 60s drive-in horror movie from 20th Century Fox, Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte. Yeah, this one's from 1964. And it's in black and white. Then 70s drive-in cult classic, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. And then 50s drive-in horror, The Screaming Skull. And then an 80s sleazy women in prison movie, Hellhole. And then another one, good for Halloween, Hell Night, starring Linda Blair, Pray for Day. And then 70s horror movie, 70s cult movie, horror spoof, Phantom of the Paradise. The most highly acclaimed horror fantasy of our time, Phantom of the Paradise. He'd been maimed and framed and beaten, robbed and mutilated, but they still can't keep him from the woman he loves. He sold his soul for rock and roll. So this is from 1974. Stars Paul Williams and Jessica Harper. Then 70 is drive-in horror flick that was done in the Philippines, starring American actor John Ashley, Beast of the Yellow Knight. This is the one where he plays a criminal who's about to get killed. So he makes a deal with the devil and he keeps getting reincarnated. But he keeps turning into a werewolf monster that goes about killing people. And then the 60s drive-in horror movie directed by Mario Bava, Black Sunday, starring Barbara Steele. This is the American release version. And then the 70s US Mexico co-production, Mary, Mary, Bloody Mary. Yeah, pretty girl named Mary. She goes to Mexico painting, doing all these paintings, but she goes about killing men for their blood. And then another 70s drive-in horror movie, What the Peepers Saw, starring Britt Eklund, who was in The Wicker Man. And she plays this young woman. She recently married this guy that has a son from a previous marriage, and she begins to suspect that her stepson killed his real mother. And another one I recommend for Halloween viewing is a drive-in film about a devil cult. It was directed by Gerald Damiano, who was known for directing the film Deep Throat, but then he directed this one non-porno film called Legacy of Satan. Yeah, this devil cult goes about selecting a housewife as the new queen of their cult. So Legacy of Satan from 1974. And then 70s Dario Argento cult classic, which stars Jessica Harper, Suspiria. And then early 80s gore fest, Maniac, and 80s Italian English dubbed horror movie Lucio Fulci's House by the Cemetery. And then 1976 drive-in flick Carrie, starring Sissy Spacek, Brian De Palma film based on the Stephen King novel. I've got the Blu-ray that Shout Factory put out, and I've also got a special edition DVD. And then the 80s slasher murder mystery, Sweet 16. And then an 80s Italian shark exploitation movie, Monster Shark. This was shown on MST3K, but I've got the DVD and I've got the Blu-ray, but it's also known simply as Devilfish. Yeah, and that artwork just reminds me of Jaws 2. And another 80s Italian horror movie, Demons, something like Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. And I already showed the Blu-ray of this one, What the Peeper Saw, another 70s drive-in horror film. And then two more Bela Lugosi films, The Corpse Vanishes and Voodoo Man. So these are two from the 40s. And then Jess Franco's Count Dracula starring Christopher Lee. It's one that's a little bit closer to the original Bram Stoker novel. And this is one of the more tame Jess Franco movies. He's done a lot of sleazy movies, some that are almost porn, but this is one where the actors seem to keep their clothes on, and that didn't get really sexual at all, like some of his other films. In a 50s drive-in film, Frankenstein's Daughter, which stars John Ashley and Sandra Knight. And then 70s Andy Warhol produced sexy horror movie Flesh for Frankenstein, also called Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. This was originally released in 3D. And then when it gets pretty violent, An American Werewolf in London, starring David Naughton. And two, I still need to watch. Well, American Werewolf in London, I've just seen bits and pieces of, but it looks pretty scary, but this one looks scary. Another 80s one, The Being. And then one that's a little bit more tame from the 70s, PG one, Screams of a Winter's Night. So this is one of those ones where a bunch of college kids are camping at a remote cabin and they go about telling a bunch of scary stories. We're at 45 minutes, so I want to finish up. Another 80s slasher, Night Warning, also called Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. And a Roger Corman slasher film from the late 80s, Deadly Dreams. Yeah, I haven't seen this one yet either. This looks like a good one. And 70s one that I've seen, starring William Shatner, Kingdom of the Spiders. And one I just barely started watching the DVD of, but I've got the Blu-ray now. The Witchmaker. It's about a witch's coven. It's from 1969. Yeah, it's called The Witchmaker, but it's also called The Legend of Witch Hollow. Yeah, this satanic warlock that's got a witch's coven goes about killing women out in the Louisiana swamp. And then he tries to get this psychic girl who's descended from witches to join his witch's coven. Yeah, Luther the Berserk. He goes about killing women in the swamp, and he tries to get a psychic girl to join his coven. It's from 1969's drive-in flick. Another Roger Corman drive-in flick. I've seen the on DVD, but I've got the Blu-ray, so I need to watch this. Night of the Cobra Woman. And an 80s creature feature from Canada, Spasm, starring Peter Fonda and Oliver Reed. It's about a giant killer snake. And then 80s Italian gore fest, Lucio Fulci's Zombie. Something like Night of the Living Dead, but a little bit scarier and gorier. The lady, the zombie pushes her into a piece of wood, and she gets her eye poked out, and she dies. And another 80s drive-in horror flick, Silent Scream. Yeah, this widow and her son, they have a boarding house for college students, but somebody in the house is going about killing off these college kids that are living there. And then another 70s movie, it's one that's part martial arts and and it's part demon monster movie. You've got a black guy that's a martial arts expert that goes about killing or fighting these demons that are living in this New York subway. I remember watching the beginning of this one, but I never finished this one. It's also called Gang Wars. And then wanted to call this a 70s Italian horror movie, but it's an early 80s English dubbed zombie movie. It's more of a giallo than just a straight zombie movie. Zetter, also called Revenge of the Dead. And that US poster artwork makes it look a little bit better than it actually is, but it's not so much like Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead, but this artwork I think's a little bit closer to what actually goes on, rather than this misleading US artwork. I've only seen the trailer for this one, so this one I still need to see, and another one still need to see, but looks like a good one for Halloween. One Dark Night. It's a PG rated one, so this is a little bit more tame. It gets a little bit scary. And it stars E.G. Daily, who is Dottie in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and also stars Adam West, who is Batman in the 1966 movie and the live-action TV series of the same name. So that's about all I've got to recommend for Halloween viewing. So thanks for watching part 1 of my update, and for watching my more of my recommendations for Halloween viewing. So keep an eye out for part 2, my October part 2 of my DVD and Blu-ray update. I'll have some DVDs next time. So thanks for watching my update video and watching more of my Halloween horror movie recommendations. I just love this artwork.